G'day, here we are once again at the Action Basketball Playoff. Pardon me, sir, did you see what happened? No, I didn't, but anyway, let's leave that alone. You know what, have you ever woken up and thought to yourself, I know what I'm going to do today. I am going to pull the tow bar out my Class A motorhome. Yeah, I have not woken up that and honestly thought to myself that's something I want to do. But I have to do it. Two reasons. One, simple reason, I want to clean all the rust and the corrosion off it. And the second reason is there's a pulley in the back that the bolt will not come out. It bottoms out against the tow bar. So stay tuned and I'm going to show you how I pull this tow bar at the Class A motorhome. The point is, I don't think it's ever designed to come out. It's put in when the chassis is built, and then they put the bodywork around it. So some of the bolts are hidden. So you'll see this. Here's a tow bar. See that pulley there? You cannot get that pulley out with the tow bar in. I've tried. There's not enough room. The bolt, fastening bolt, bottoms out against the tow bar and I cannot get it out. There's still probably 2 or 3 threads left into the block down there, the casting. I can't get the pulley out. The pulley is a little bit gritty and it's corroded, so I want to take the bearings out, clean the bearings, re-grease them. So really what you've got here is you've got 12 bolts. There's these bolts down here, 1, 2, 3, 4, and the same on the other side down here. 2 bolts over there at the front, and 2 bolts there. There's also 4 bolts here, but you can't get to the other side of those bolts. So here's my solution to be able to get these 4 bolts that I said was in the rear of the tow bar. Cut a hole in the bodywork behind the license plate. That way I can get to the bolts. I can also get to the nuts that's holding this valve on, and the 2 air drains back down here, the bolts. Couldn't get to them before. Couldn't get to the nuts, I should say. So now I can get to the 4 bolts, 1, 2, 3, 4, through the license plate. There's those 4 bolts. The nut for the valve, somewhere in there. And the 4 nuts for the air valves. Hey! That hole will be hidden up by the license plate. Happy with that. By the way, yeah, you've got to disconnect the electrics, but that goes without saying. The electrics I've already taken off down the bottom down there. You've got to disconnect the hydraulic hose pipe, the AC coolant pipes that are all screwed, as you can see, P-clamped onto the tow bar. That P-clamp's already come off. And it gives me a chance to get in there and clean all the corrosion off this, clean the pulleys up, and get it nice and clean again. So here we go. Stay tuned for another wonderful video from Tidbits from Rod, and see if we can glean something together. See you later. Here's that pulley I was telling you about. I couldn't get out with the tow bar in place. There's the head of the bolt. Between the head of the bolt and the tow bar, there was 1/2 inch. However, there is the length of the bolt. I've got 3/16 more bolt than I have clearance to get it out. So it's never going to come out. So if you ever want to replace this pulley, I'm afraid you're going to have to either do something with the engine, jack the engine up and disconnect the mounts, or you're going to have to loosen off the bolts and take the bolts out of the tow bar and move the tow bar, in this case, rearwards to get you that 3/16 so you can get this pulley out. Now it may be different in other coaches, the way the coaches are built, the fact that there's tolerance stack ups, etc., and they may have drilled the holes in a different place, but on my particular coach it was not going to come out, as you can see. Did I say I woke up this morning and thought, yeah, I wanted to take a tow bar out? Not a good idea. Several hours, and here's a tow bar finally out. It's got a packing piece on one end, lots of shim plates that takes up the space difference between the chassis rails. So you can see why I want to take this out, clean it up. But man, was that a job? Cut a hole in behind the license plate to get to the bolts. I had to actually, those 4 bolts down there that hold the engine cross member on, I had to jack the engine up, loosen those bolts all the way off so this chassis rail could expand a little bit to get that tow bar out from underneath. And I could get this pulley out. Remember I said I couldn't get this pulley out? I had to, even if I didn't take the tow bar all the way out, I had to take all the bolts out and move the tow bar forward so I could get that pulley out. Here's the tow bar. It's a little bit rusty, but hey, that'll clean up like everything else. Not sure if I want to get it powder coated or just paint it with that rust protection paint that I've used everywhere else on the coach. It seems to be a good paint, so I'll probably try that first. Anyway, stay tuned and we'll see what it comes out like. Here's the tow bar with all the corrosion removed. You can see the various grinding pads, the 4-inch grinder, wire brushes, etc. that I've used to clean this up. Come up pretty well actually. Obviously some pitting from the corrosion, but going to be painting this with the trusted Eastwood paint, the rust encapsulator paint that I've been using on the coach. So I'm pretty pleased with this. It's going to look pretty damn good once it's painted. So anyway, stay tuned, and the next clip you'll see with this, it will be painted. So it's painted 2 coats and it's come out extremely well. I know you've seen things painted before, but considering what this was like, rusty, horrible, manky, whichever word you want to use. Here's my tow bar. I've got a new electrical socket coming for it and I'll be putting that back on very shortly. Okay, so we're going to attempt to put this tow bar back in. It's going to be heavy. Part of the video I don't like, I'm going to edit it out. Okay, so now we're going to try and put this tow bar back in. I've got it laying in there at an angle. My goal is to just lift it up, rest it on the oil pipe, put it in position like butter, Yeah, not sure if that's going to work, but it's pretty damn heavy. So I've got to think about what I'm doing. So the tow bar's back in. Here we go. Four bolts this end, torqued up the shear and back a bit. Don't forget that packing piece that's down there. It's a welded shim plate. I found it's not separate shims. It's 3 pieces of metal plate, different thicknesses welded together to take up the space between the rail. P-clip back, all the hoses are in, new belts. Clean up a little bit in here. Took all the corrosion off these pipes, new brackets. I didn't paint the engine. Painted the pulley wheel because it was pretty bad. But anyway, rerouted the harness, got a new connector on there. There's a hole I cut in the behind the license plate in the body so I can get access. There's a tow bar with the new connector on there. It looks pretty decent. Pretty happy with it. I've got to put the Country Coach splash guard back on here now. And I'll be done. Ready for the summer. Oh, I've got to put the doors back on. There's one thing. So there we have it. Finished. Another project done and dusted. So, not sure how many people are going to take tow bars out, but if you do, hope this helps you. Catch you later.